over the rainbow.
Hey, Storymakers, and welcome to the Tellwell Podcast, where we're inviting you into the conversations that we get to have every day with our Storymakers. Today, I'm in the studio with one of my favorite people, and
Thank you so much.
one of the people that's most likely to interrupt you,
That's true too.
Max Kringen.
Hi, Duncan. You did a great job with that intro. Is that the first time that you've gotten to do the intro?
That was the first time I've done the intro, and Max decided to interrupt me right at the end of it. Really threw me off my game.
I was just so, you referred to me as one of your favorite people. So I just, just kind of push the hair back and take compliments when I get up,
Speaking of pushing the hair back, one thing I realized from our last time recording podcast, people are going to have no idea what my hair looks like, because every time people have seen me, we've done team photos a few times too. And in each one of my team photos, my hair is in a different, like it's up, it's down, it's long, it's short. And I really feel like I'm keeping people guessing.
I think so, but it actually does make it easier when we're trying to figure out which era or like what year were we talking about there. Because if it's like Duncan clean cut, it's like 2020, 2021. And then 2022, it started to like get a little bit bigger, just like a little shaggy, got that like hockey boy flow going. And then 2020, like 3, 4, it was like whoosh.
Long,
and it was just like, he was a skater boy. He said, see you later. Anyway, so yes.
That's enough about my hair.
We can talk about your hair because we can't talk about mine.
Fair enough. You said what they were all thinking. Today we're getting to talk about a friend of yours that you've known for a long time, somebody I've gotten to know now a little bit. I'd say I feel like I mainly see this guy at golf tournaments, which makes a lot of sense too with what he does. So do you want to tell everybody a little about what he does?
Yeah. So Matt Oye is a good friend of mine. Actually, my very first job out of college is I was a designer for what is now the company called Brandfolk. And most of my job was designing pens and t-shirts and pot holders and just like weird stuff. Anything that you could put a logo on, we designed. And I tried to really like elevate that design. And what is so cool about Matt's journey is that was almost 15 years ago. And Matt is still with Brandfolk and he runs it as the VP of sales. He creates some of the like coolest products out there. And whether it's like applying design or doing some of those types of things, he can really think about that in a more strategic way than just like going on X giant website and ordering a bunch of promo products.
I still remember when I joined Tellwell, the amount of like cool stuff that I got. Like I remember in onboarding, we got the backpack that had our logo on it, and we got this cool notebook that matched it, and the hats and the shirts and the jackets. If you know anybody who works at Tellwell, you probably have noticed how much we wear that has our logo on it. And that's in part because of Matt and in part because Max has never let go of that first job of designing merch and enjoying putting logos on things.
I love it. Actually, you know what? Here's a bit of a funny story, but one of the first things that we purchased as a company were pens. And so there was a restaurant in town. I guess it's still in town. There's a restaurant in town called Mezzaluna.
Yep.
Mezzaluna has great pens. And every time I was there doing like a happy hour or something like that, and this is a high-end restaurant, high-end for Fargo, right? This is a really nice restaurant. They have a great pen. And I went to Matt and I said, I need this pen, because I was there with a potential client. And I was like, I want this one, but I want it in lime green. And I want it to say Tellwell. And so these pens, if you know, like a classic Bic is like 15 cents, 30 cents. Mm-hmm. Like they're very, very inexpensive. These pens were like $1.10 a piece. Oof. And so I was like, and this is the early days of Tellwell when we were doing like, $300, $400, $500 projects and being really excited about them. So a couple $100 in pens was like a lot of money. Well, fast forward to a couple of years later, one of my friends was giving her mom a tour of our new office, and it was very sweet. And I gave her one of these pens, and she's like, oh my gosh, what a great pen. Hefty. Oh, it writes nice. Ooh, this is great. Can I have a couple more of these? And I did. And what was funny is I sent her a couple of those pens every single year.
Yeah.
Turns out that connection between that $1.10 pen brought us a client who does $1 million with us a year now right? Like, and it's that little point of connection. It's that little point of like, hey, I remember you. Hey, I care about you. And so Matt's going to talk a little bit about that. He's also going to talk about the power of community. And he also runs an organization called Locals Love Us, which is a voting platform. So that way locals are actually the ones voting. You can't go on and vote like 20 times for your favorite folks.
Yep.
You can get in. You have to be local. You can vote once. And so you vote once for some different things. Tellwell has been at the top of the list for video production and website design and development for I think the last 3 or 4 years running. And we're very excited to be there. So if you hear this, please go out to Locals Love Us and vote for us. So yeah, that's the power of a pen, baby.
Let's hear from Matt.
Well, Matt Oye, welcome to Tellwell the Podcast. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm super excited. I listen to a ton of podcasts, so I'm excited to be on one.
I'm really excited to have you as a guest because, Matt, you and I have known each other for like 15 years, maybe like 14 years.
Yeah, probably 15, 14 for sure.
Because I started at what was Promotional Solutions, like 2010, somewhere in there.
Yeah, 14 years then, because I started in 2009, so...
Yeah. And so Matt, for people that don't know you, can you kind of introduce yourself? You got a couple of different things going on, all cool stuff. And then we'll kind of get into even some of the other fun conversations that we have. So
yeah, awesome. My name's Matt Oye. I went to MSUM, first going to SMSU in Marshall before transferring up to MSUM. I ended up graduating there with a finance degree. Met my wife in town here. She's originally from Moorhead. She ended up graduating from MSUM as well. Since I met her, we decided to make Fargo Moorhead our home. Shortly before I graduated at MSUM with a finance degree, I got a job working part-time before I graduated with a company called Promotional Solutions. And being a numbers guy in finance, I was really excited about the opportunity to do creative things in marketing. And I just kind of fell in love with products. I liked the people that were involved with Promotional Solutions and made a couple deals right away that I got some bigger commissions on. And it just got me excited about the opportunity to work in that field and being able to work with all sorts of different businesses and working on all sorts of different campaigns with all sorts of different products. So that's a little quick background on me in a minute.
So Promotional Solutions, if we can just say for a minute, Promotional Solutions was an awful name. It was a terrible name, especially for like the level of work that you guys do. And even I would say back to the time when I was there, because Promotional Solutions was my first job out of school as a designer. And I believed it was a terrible name from the beginning. But just a couple of years ago, 6 years ago now?
2018.
Oh my God, so 6 years ago,
Yeah.
we rebranded to Brandfolk. So can you talk about that a little bit and the transition?
Yeah, I mean, I think Promotional Solutions was started to help companies get great products efficiently. And when you got involved, I believe you pioneered, the bigger picture of offering, more services that go along with the products and getting into the strategic side of things. And so, moving from just a product supplier to a creative promotional branding company was a big part of what you started when you worked there. And then transitioning to Brandfolk, I think, was just kind of the finalization of that transition that took quite a while to actually realize all the additional value that we were bringing. And it's really hard to jump outside of that promotional product box because there are so many of us out there and everybody can get products to businesses, but to do the whole process, slightly different is actually kind of hard to break out of.
Yeah. So you and I have talked a lot about that over the years and really like what that differentiator is between Brandfolk and ABC Promo next door. So can you talk a little bit about how you guys are truly like a promotional products agency that is helping people from like start to finish?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I do have to admit we tend to fall back into supplying people with products, but we do separate ourselves when we are able to have great conversations with our clients about, what are their core values and what are their markets they're trying to get into. And then we can take, those conversations and source products that fit their objectives. And then we also help with the graphic design if needed. So a lot of companies will have their own graphic design team that might specialize in their web content or social media, and they don't really know how to, properly display their message on a billion physical, tangible items that people can hand out to others. And so we can really help take their brand, match it to a product that we match to a campaign, and then also help them, deliver that product, whether it be in person or through different, carriers like UPS, FedEx. Maybe it's going out to 1,400 agencies throughout the country, and we really can be their logistical partner in it. And so just everything from sourcing to design to delivery, being experts in all of those things really, really helps separate us from just being a product supplier.
So Matt, I'm going to challenge you a little bit. That was a really unsexy way to talk about really kind of like the magic and like the I'm going to say the magic that you guys put into a lot of your projects, and like what you and I have talked about. And maybe we need to be drinking old fashions instead of coffee this morning to get you talking about it in the way that you have. But like really what you help organizations do is you help them figure out like what is the problem that they're trying to solve, and then how can personal touches, how can, like in this case, those promotional products actually like get you connected with your audience, or whichever audience that is, internal, external, or a potential audience, to get them connected with you and like know you and trust you and love you. Like you do all those things with products.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the knowing, loving, and trusting is like the biggest challenge in marketing, right? I mean, we can throw logos and products and branding at everybody, but if your client base doesn't trust you, it's kind of going to be a waste of investment. But yeah, we through products, we can get that message right directly to the person that you want to give it to. And if you put some time and effort into it, most people will understand when they get this product that it's not just your average promotional item that a logo was slapped on. And so we will take things. If you go to our website and look at our portfolio, we'll take projects on like the Discovery Benefits 8-Ball project that we did back in like 2017 or something like that, a long time ago. But it was super awesome because they had an objective to reaching out to their client base that they already have and just letting them know that they have this Discovery Answers tool on their website and that they wanted them to utilize it. And so we created this, Shannon and Shelby on our team actually, created this beautiful packaging, this box that stood out in the mail. We shipped it direct to their brokers. Inside the packaging was a custom 8-ball, that everybody knows you can get answers on. And it was, we have the answers you're looking for, was the campaign. And it was just something that stood out and was very successful for them. And we've worked on a bunch of projects like that over the years and had great feedback from our clients on it.
Well, knowing the power of promotional products, maybe I've shared this before, how like our pens potentially brought in like $1 million client.
Yeah, you did. You shared a little bit about it, but I'd love to hear more while we're recording this awesome story of how a pen, can bring in a big client pretty passively, it sounds like. But tell me more about that.
So really what happened is when Tellwell first started, there are always like moments, I think, in a company where it feels like you're a real company. And for us, that's been like, I would say 3 or 4 moments. I would say 1, when we got our first copier, 2, when we got our first pens, and 3, when we got our first coffee mugs. And so the pens was an interesting one because like it was the earliest days of Tellwell where we didn't have a lot of money. And I think I had gone to happy hour with some friends at Mezzaluna, and I was like, that's a nice pen. And so I think I brought this pen to you, and I stole that pen from Mezzaluna. And I said, Matt, I want this pen. And it was really like, it felt heavy. It wrote beautifully. It like felt like it was substance, that like Mezzaluna cared about me enough to like invest in their pens. And so even during the earliest days of Tellwell, when we had no money to be buying anything, much less like, $1.25 pens, that was like where I was like, Matt, this is the pen that we want. We want it in lime green because that was our color. It's also one of my favorite colors. And just like say Tellwell on it. And so you had gotten these to us and we were so excited about them. We were handing them out to everybody. But one of the people that came to visit our location when we were in a co-working space was a friend of mine from college. And I was like, Corey, here is the Tellwell pen. And she's like, this is so great. Can I have another one for my mom? I was like, sure, go ahead. And so she took that back to her mom. Probably 6 months later, like they come to Fargo and visiting me in because they're from the Twin Cities. And her mom's like, how many of these can I have? Can I have like a dozen? Can I have half a dozen? And I was like, here's a few. So I handed those over. And what was so fascinating, 8 years later, she reaches out and she's like, hey, working on this project. This is what we're working on right now. We're working with like a video partner, but we really want to work with like a more holistic company that can help us with like the blogs and the social and like the activation from start to finish. And so we started working with them 2 or 3 years ago. And this last year, they're $1 million client. And so from that first connection of a pen that says like, hey, I care enough about you, I'm invested enough in you that I'm going to give you this really beautiful pen, came $1 million client.
That's wild. That's really awesome. From a pen.
From a pen.
Yeah, it's great to hear those stories. And, doing this for 15 years now, we've heard stories like that. That's probably one of the bigger clients obtained that we've heard from our clients. But it's everything from construction businesses winning bids because of a hat that they've submitted with their bid, to employees deciding that they're going to go work for a company because of the swag kit that they got, or that they're going to stay working at the company because of the swag kit that they got. It's really great to hear those stories that all come out of promotional products, and the power that a well done gift or a well done piece of branding can do for you.
So boil that down for us. Why do promotional products work?
The messaging on the promotional products is really tough, but promotional products in general work when the recipient can tell that the other person has invested time and energy and money into it. And the more personalized you can make it, the better, because, anybody can give a hat to somebody. But if you give them the type of hat that they have told you that they like before, they're going to remember that. And the reason promotional products work at the end of the day are because they're a gift that the recipient has determined themselves that you put time and energy into giving to them for a reason.
Yeah. So it's really that personalization and that care.
Yes, for sure. And then, there's, from a big picture, from a ton of products, from a campaign perspective, there's a lot of thinking that needs to be done in the messaging, but that is definitely harder to pinpoint of what type of messaging works. That's where you need like the A/B studies and all that stuff to figure out whether this one's going to be better than the other. But from a siloed perspective, when you're giving something to your new employee, if you can make it personalized and you can show them that you care to putting it together, it's going to be very powerful for you.
I love that. I also think there's power in that ability to kind of like vouch social proof. And like, I do think promotional products do that, but would also love to talk about kind of like this other venture that you've jumped into, Locals Love Us. So tell us about Locals Love Us.
Yeah, well, I would just, the social proof, I would just like to step back to that for a second. And you said that you felt like Tellwell was coming to fruition when you got your first promotional products. Well, other people feel that way about you as well. And so that's just the social proof that when they get a well done branded gift from them, your presence is going to be elevated a little bit. I don't know, what that is, but they are going to determine that you are a real company because you have real merch, and the better the merch.
Do you know the theory behind this? It's called the halo effect.
Share that with me. I may know it under a different name, but
So the halo effect is really that idea of if you present something really well, your perceived value goes up. And so we talk about the halo effect in terms of branding. So like, not to pick on Promotional Solutions, but like lower halo effect than what Brandfolk does, because Brandfolk looked really custom. It looks really like polished and professional and those types of things. And so just that elevation of design and a name and those types of things, like that halo effect says like, oh, you are maybe even worth more than what the perception of what you're worth is more. And so that idea of like, if we have a cup, that must mean we're a real legitimate organization, right? If we have a pen, we're real. It's actually a big reason why we focus and we encouraged you to focus so much on real photos on your website and real photos on our website, because in a digital age where so many people can do things like solo, to be able to show a team, to be able to show real products, not just this idea of a team or idea of products, but to be able to show the real thing is huge and super effective.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you pushed us for real photos. And it's something that kind of goes unnoticed until you do the work to get the good imagery, to get real photos. Mm-hmm. And then you notice how much better other companies look to you when they have the good images, the real photos, all that stuff. You weren't really conscious of it before. Oh. But yeah, then once you do the work, you definitely realize all those companies that have put it in as well. And they were more attractive to you before, you just didn't realize why.
Absolutely. Which also is a fascinating like transition and like connection point to Locals Love Us.
Yeah. So, I mean, a big reason why I bought Locals Love Us was there's two sides to Locals Love Us. It's the value that we bring to the community and presenting a guide to them that they create. It's a genuine effort to create the best guide to Fargo-Moorhead's most trusted businesses. Mm. And so there is a ton of value that the company brings to Fargo-Moorhead without any business perspective to it. It's just, here's our free guide to the community. But talking about the social value to the businesses, especially small businesses, which Brandfolk is, buying promotional products to gain that social attention and that presence and that respect and all of that is super expensive through merchandise. I mean, just scaling merchandise is really expensive. You can buy small orders of promotional merchandise and give it to small groups of people. But if you want to send it out to Fargo-Moorhead community or the region, it's going to add up really quick. Mm-hmm. And so through Locals Love Us, the franchise program that they developed is getting the community's feedback, free voting to go on and ask your friends, ask your community, hey, did we do a good job for you? Please go on and give us a vote. If we win the vote, Locals Love Us, the guide is going to be put together with a website and a physical print book. And these companies are going to be sent out to the community and displayed as one of the most trusted businesses in town. We're going to give them an award. Like I said, they're going to be on our website all year. And so just by building the community votes for them, they are building a presence in Fargo-Moorhead that's trusted and known just through the Locals Love Us program.
So, Matt, you've been working in marketing for over 15 years now, and you got into this fairly recently. Like, why do all those things matter? Why do they matter to small business? Because you've been working with small business for the same amount of time. Why do those things matter?
Well, like I had touched on earlier, in marketing and advertising, trust is just a really huge thing. And so it's hard to scale trust. It's hard to scale word of mouth about people. And so Locals Love Us really helps them scale that. But those things matter because if you have a really good product or service and you don't have trust, you're not going to be able to get it out there to the masses. It's just not going to happen. But as soon as you build that trust and as soon as you build that respect and as soon as you build that social awareness that you are a good, valuable company, what you're trying to do in business is going to do better and it's going to reach more people and you're going to have a bigger impact. And so if you care to have a bigger impact, you need to have trust from those that work with you and those that are thinking about working with you.
Amen. And so as you think about the future of Locals Love Us, what does it look like?
Like I touched on a little bit ago, like it will be the most genuine and the best guide to Fargo-Moorhead. It's an annual thing. I wish it's tough, right? You don't want to come out with a guide every other month. Like that just would be too much. But for once a year, we're going to create this awesome guide that's built by the people in Fargo-Moorhead, and newcomers will be able to rely on who to work with, where to go. If you want to, switch up your Friday nights from going to the same restaurant or the same fun spot every weekend, you can go to Locals Love Us and look at. So I just see it as being the premier guide where tens of thousands of people, if not all of the community, references the online on site. And that is my short-term future for Locals Love Us in the community, is just that it's the most referenced, most accurate guide to the best places in town. Long-term future for Locals Love Us, I would love to, we're talking years down the road, bring it to another community in North Dakota or another community close in our region that could use the services that Locals Love Us does for small business and local business.
Love it. That's a huge and aspirational, and I appreciate it. I also love the fact that you've thought about like what do the shorter next steps look like in addition to those big ones.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Tellwell the Podcast. A review goes a really long way, so please give us 5 stars on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. On behalf of my co-host, Max Kringen, and I, thank you so much for listening, and please continue to share your story.
If we hold tight, we can chase the Mississippi through the night. Hundreds of miles.